Okay, so Radiant Historia was published by Atlas, and so the game was released in 2010, originally to the Nintendo DS. So in terms of the story, I wouldn't say this is something that's original. It's about two warring countries, kingdoms, and whatnot, and you play as Locke, who's a professional soldier slash bodyguard, and he has this mysterious book that lets him travel through time. Now, here in this book, they do mention Dragon Quest 7 and Chrono Trigger. Now, I've only played and finished Chrono Trigger, and I haven't played DQ7, but just like those two games, Radiant Historia lets you travel across time. But the its distinguishing factor is that it's not only that you travel across time, you basically travel across two parallel timelines. So you like switch from like timeline A to timeline B, and so on and so forth. And to make things easier visually as well for the players, there's a flow chart of sorts within the game so that you can easily navigate that. Okay, I'm in this. I'm like in timeline A. I need to go back to this one scenario in timeline B. But the catch is you can only jump backwards in time. If you need to fix something, look for it at the same timeline or jump to the alternate timeline, but you can never jump forwards. I think it's a very good use of the time travel mechanic because since Chrono Trigger is such a well beloved game, even now, people are saying that we haven't seen any other games utilize that mechanic as well as Chrono Trigger. And I've read a lot online when I was looking for this game back then that this is like the closest or one of the closest games if ever you're looking to play something that's that kind of feels like Chrono Trigger and also has that you decide your own fate. If you ultimately pick this timeline, then whatever outcome happens, that is your choice. So it kind of also gives the player this sense of freedom and not just going down to through just one linear path, one linear ending. Let's talk about the soundtrack. Surprisingly, I didn't really know this before, but the soundtrack was made by none other than the talented Yoko Shimamura, who is also known as the composer for the Kingdom Hearts games. So that is something to look forward to. Graphics are in this beautiful 16-bit style, pixel art graphics. I believe for the remaster for the 3DS, they remade the portraits, made them more like modern looking. I think they made it more like into illustrations and not pixel art. So if you want to have some sort of variety, or if you play the original DS version and you want to experience the game as like a fresh new experience, the remaster for the 3DS has these new portraits. I believe there's also a new dungeon and there's a bit of additional content just for the both new fans and old fans to look forward to. Regarding the battle, it's turn-based battle and it's kind of unique. It's turn-based, but it's also grid-based. The grid is 3 by 3. You have the ability to knock your opponents backwards, and they also have the ability to knock you backwards in return. Once you knock an opponent backwards, you alongside your party members can do like a combo attack and utilize once your foe is down, do a super move and whatnot, and deal the finishing blow. So that's something that's kind of unique and also changes things up versus the traditional Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy, wherein you're just all in one straight line attack, magic, and whatnot. So that kind of spices things up.
So what you're saying is, Miss Hino, that once your opponent is down, you can gangbang him. Okay, got it. Okay.
Yes, that is absolutely right. You can do it at the front, at the back, at the right. Yes, you can. All sides, yes.
Absolutely wonderful, excellent. I like Miss Hino's sense of humor. If you guys can't tell, there you go.
I did see, however, that there is a little footnote in here that it seems that Radiant Historia is a spiritual successor to the obscure 1995 Super Famicom game called Grand Historia.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not
I don't.
something that I've played before,
Yeah,
but
I don't think I've
Grand
heard of
Historia.
that one. I have to check that
Japanese
one.
only, I
Okay.
think.
Oh, okay. There
it
you
Uh,
go. That's probably it. Hey, maybe
it
there's an
also
English
mentions
patch.
here that there's time travel there. So that's
Hmm.
actually something
oh,
to
it,
look forward
oh,
to
hang on.
people looking for
So
the
it's not
time
Chrono
travel.
Trigger who came up with it first.
Yeah, I know. Some kind of.
Ooh, hot take.
All
Uh,
right, Derek.
So
let's go back to
yeah, yeah,
1995.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Let's pause a bit.
Okay.
So Chrono Trigger didn't start the time traveling aspect.
Yes.
Grand Historia did. You
We're
heard
not.
it
All
first,
We're
right.
not.
according to
We're
And
Miss
not
Nunu right
starting a
here.
fight.
and Miss Hito has just
And
touched off a war. Okay.
We're not starting a
Yeah.
fight. The one who
Yes,
loves fights
we
already
are.
left
Yes, we
earlier.
are.
No, no, no.
No, we're not.
Yes,
He's
we
just reading
are.
off a book.
Don't do
Okay,
it when
according to
I'm
the
in
book.
the show.
Yes, we are. Yeah. But JDM actually put this forward. Very very important.
Uh,
Here's a game that can help you move on from Chrono Trigger. Derek Fonai. There you go. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Because of the fact that we have the biggest
no, no,
C2
no.
and
To Miss Tina's point, the time traveling aspect makes a lot more sense here compared to Chrono Trigger because because with triggers time travel aspect, everything goes in a linear time plane. Meaning, if you go back, then that so according to Chrono Trigger, so linear. If you go back in time to do some shit,
Mm.
eventually in the future, things will change because of something that you did. In Radiant Historia, multiverse theory, meaning if you go back in time, then what you do back then will go into a tangent point of another timeline, which
So
it will branch
basically,
out.
it's the Marvel Universe time travel theory, not like
It's not like yeah, because Chrono Trigger
Back to the
is
Future.
like Back to the Future rules,
Yes.
basically.
But wait a minute. But does Back to the Future rules have divergent timelines, or because of the fact that
No,
it always confuses me when Doc Brown always explained it as alternate timelines, but whatever Marty did in the past actually affects him in the future. So
affects the future.
it
See,
feels like it's one straight timeline, whereas
right?
in Marvel Universe, whatever you did in the past branches off in a different timeline.
mm,
It doesn't affect
That's
you
what they
where
did
you
here
are
with
right
Radiant
now.
Historia. Yes.
That's it. So that is how it. I guess those are the rules that Radiant Historia is following, Miss Hinu. Alternate timelines, Marvel Universe rules. Okay, got it. Okay.
They fully utilized both of the screens, top, bottom screens, and I think the artwork that they made for this game is really, really beautiful. It's something that they made the colors pop out. The battles were fast paced, and relating to what Joe mentioned earlier regarding Chrono Trigger, it's easier to grasp the time travel here because you're traversing through two similar timelines. In Chrono Trigger, the timelines are set maybe millennia apart, centuries apart. So it's like it's harder to see the big picture when the scale is that big. So this is more digestible, I would believe, for players to understand. And I also saw one little tidbit here that for the remaster for the 3DS that they made the game fully voiced. So
Yeah,
which
they did.
is another good thing for the old players if you wanna see how the characters would sound like fully voiced. To close things off for this game, I believe it didn't have a sequel. It's because the game can stand on itself.
Mm.
Sure, it would have been good if we had like a similar game, maybe set on a different continent with different characters, but lore wise, I'm not sure how's that gonna make sense. Maybe something along the line of like 50 years later, 100 would be fine. But it's also nice knowing that the game stays good because there was no bad sequel that followed it. All right, that's all for to me for my first game.